In this course, we'll be exploring one of the most popular AI assistants out in the market, loved especially by developers, Claude by Anthropic. You'll learn everything from what Claude is and how to navigate its interface and some prompt tips. Then we'll explore different use cases for Claude and finally see ways you can use the platform as a coding partner. By the end of this, you should be able to use Claude effectively and understand how to leverage this popular AI assistant for many things. Now, although there are many platforms you could use to generate code, even ChatGPT in itself, one of the most popular platforms currently out there that a lot of my developer friends have recommended is to use Claude. Developed by Anthropic, Claude is an AI assistant that is specifically designed for solving complex problems from coding to reasoning. And much like other LLMs out there like ChatGPT or Gemini, Claude's model family includes different versions optimized for speed and performance of Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. It's really well known for its low hallucination rates and accuracy, and Claude is actually becoming a highly favorable alternative to ChatGPT, which is why we're going to be covering it in this course. If you want to sign up, just go to the main website, try it, and then you can click Try Claude, or go to claude.ai, sign up with your Gmail or another email of your own, and then just sign up and get started. When it comes to Claude's capabilities, they're really all about building safer, more reliable AI systems, which is one of the reasons why they became so popular, especially amongst the developer community. And so they're really heavy on research. Even if you go to their website, you're going to be able to notice that they have a lot of research out on their platform. And so you can take a read if you want to see what kind of things that they're really focusing on. So Claude's capabilities are pretty straightforward. They're much like the other LLMs out there, but one of the reasons why Claude is so well trusted amongst the community, especially the developing community, is because they do safe and reliable AI quite well. Even if you browse to their website, you can see plenty of different research of how they're more secure, trustworthy, and reliable. So I do recommend taking a look at some of their documents and research papers. But when it comes just to the capabilities itself, they have advanced reasoning, so they handle a lot of cognitive tasks beyond just simple text generation quite well. As I mentioned earlier, they're really good at code generation, so whether it's HTML, CSS for websites, or just debugging code through Python or other programming languages, Claude is highly favored when it comes to the development community. And then they can also do vision analysis, such as transcribing and analyzing static images into actual text, and they can process multiple languages as well. Once you've signed up for Claude and have logged in, you're going to be welcome to this minimalistic interface that Claude has. Most of your conversations are all saved on the left. Differences is that you can actually star your conversations. So this is going to be super useful for any conversations that you are most frequently working with. And then you can also create a new chat, or you can just start a new chat from the very beginning. If you are on a professional plan, you'll have the options to be able to select different models as well. And you have suggestions of the different prompts that you can get started with. What I really like about Claude is you can also reload these suggestions so that they refresh with some new ones that you can play around with. Of course, adding content, any attachments or images, and you have your recent chats shown right here below. So you don't always have to go to your left-hand menu. At the bottom of the left-hand menu, you can also hit help and support to access the FAQ. And you can also change your appearance, whether you want it to light mode or dark mode, or just follow the system, as well as your main primary settings. So going pro with Claude allows you to get longer, faster, and more thought out outputs all around. Not only do you get more usage, exactly 5 times more usage with their pro model, but you also get priority access with the platform during high traffic periods. So let's say there's a lot of users on Claude and you're trying to produce a bunch of text, whether that be content or code. If you're a pro user, you'll most likely have the priority to be able to get your responses quickly. But if you're just a normal free user, then sometimes Claude will tell you your access is limited and it may not produce a result until several hours later. So Claude Pro subscribers also get access to what is called projects, and essentially you can access this on your print home interface, or you can go to your left and go to projects, and you'll be welcome to this home screen. On the right, you'll be a default how to use Claude, and that will give you little tips and tricks on how to prompt better. So if you go into this, you can have a conversation related to how to use Claude directly. They even give you a little MD file that gives you a little bit of prompt tricks and tips there. But let's say you want to create your own. You can say something like this: understanding the real estate market in Southeast Asia, for example. And then you could just name this something like Southeast Asia Real Estate. I create this project. And now I can have conversations that will retain all of the information within the project. And you can even set custom instructions here. Act as a real estate expert and investor, focused primarily on Southeast Asian markets, example, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, etc. Give tips, give professional advice on what are the best countries to invest in, keep a professional tone, provide all feedback in bullet point. So this part of the custom instructions is where you want to provide as much detail, including your personas, as well as any formatting or constraints that you want to make sure each output comes out as. This folder or project called Southeast Asia Real Estate will then retain all of that information specifically. Now, this can be for anything: gardening, architecture, whatever you have interest in. So you can save the instructions. And then what I really like about this is you can add documents. So for example, I can add a document here. So these are just random reports and documents I have downloaded in relation to Southeast Asia real estate. So then instead of just pulling from Claude's LLM, it'll also refer back to these PDF files to give greater context and better answers moving forward. So I can just write, what are the top 10 countries to invest in real estate or South Asian region? So if you notice here, I did mention that keep a professional tone as well as keep all answers in a bullet point form. So it's remembering all of the key instructions that I gave it so that I don't need to tell every single conversation or chat that I have with Claude within this project to maintain these constraints. You can always add more. Let's say I want to add a little bit about Malaysia. And so I can upload. Well, you can see here just how much knowledge percentage is used. And let's say if I go back here, give me more information about Malaysia's real estate market. And then if I just ask that, it'll give me a response. So it's taking a bit of time to just through the information. And then same way as the custom instructions provided, everything is in bullet point form for easy reading. And it most likely has referenced some of the additional document that I gave it earlier in terms of Malaysia's market outlook. So this is a nice way to organize your conversations, but also make sure that for a given project you have, that all fits into one thing thematically. You can have custom instructions to sort of guide the model to the right response. Prompting with Claude is going to look a little bit different than prompting with other LLMs as well. When it comes to using Claude, it's worth noting the following key points. For one, try to provide examples. Include relevant examples to enhance the accuracy and consistency of the task at hand. Also, instruct in steps. Break down tasks in sequential steps to ensure that Claude follows the process as intended. If you can, use XML tags. Organize content using tags like bracket instructions bracket or bracket example bracket for better structured, accurate prompts. Also, give a role. Set a specific role for Claude, whether you say act as a teacher or act as a Python programmer or act as a web developer. This will help to tailor its tone and focus. And lastly, be clear and direct. Always try to clearly explain the task and its goals to improve the output. Don't just say, make me this. Instead, try to explain what you want to be made and what that kind of features should be included in what you're trying to create. And the more specific you can get with this, the better. You can do quite a lot with Claude, and there are many different use cases for using Claude. And so we'll go through some of them in the next couple of examples, and we'll start off with content creation. This is where you can use Claude to help with drafting essays, articles, or any sort of text creation. So an example prompt here could be, write a 500-word blog post about for marketing, include subsections, and make sure that the article is targeted at 24 to 34-year-old working professionals. The tone should be professional. And so you can see an example here. You see with Claude, they also offer this right hand. It gives you the response here. You can click this. You can also choose to close it if you want. And then it'll give you the article here, which you can interact with and add, download, and so on. Then the next is summarization. You can use Claude to condense lengthy research papers or articles into concise summaries just by uploading a file. So an example prompt here could be, summarize the key findings and insights of this paper on the global economy in 2030, highlight any interesting points to take note of. And so you can upload a file and see the result here. So I've uploaded this file, and then it's gone through the file and just given me some results that I can take a look at. Then the next is brainstorming. Use Claude to generate creative ideas for projects, stories, or problem solving. And so an example prompt here could be, generate 10 creative ideas for blog posts on the topic of consumer psychology. For each idea, include key concepts to cover beneath the idea and provide these in bullet point format. So you can see the result here. So I got 10 different creative ideas, and then within each, I got different subtopics that I can cover. Next is language translation. And so you can use Claude to translate one text to another language. And an example prompt here could be, translate the following Portuguese text into English, maintaining the original tone and context. And then you can paste over your text. So you see the result here, paste it over the text, and then it will do its job at translating. The next is grammar and style editor. So Claude can also be used to improve your writing by suggesting different grammar and style enhancements across your text. And so an example prompt here could be, review and improve the following text for grammar, style, and clarity. Make sure to highlight the areas that have been corrected, and you paste in your text. So you see an example here, I've pasted over some text, and right below, now it's bolding the things that I should change in terms of the grammar and overall styling. And I can reference this for later. Then next is the fact checker. And so you can use Claude for verifying information and providing context on various topics. And one of the reasons for this is because Claude's reasoning capabilities is actually quite well known amongst this LLM community. So an example prompt here could be, verify the following claim and provide context on the current understanding of this topic. For any statements that are factually incorrect, highlight them and provide the factual statement instead. And then you can paste in the text that you want to examine. And so you see the result here, paste in the text here, and it's going to bold anything that it finds to be factually incorrect and correct them. Then the next is study assistance. So Claude is a really great tool for creating study guides, flashcards, any practice questions to help you learn specific subjects. So an example prompt here could be, create 10 flashcards covering the key concepts of front-end development. Each flashcard should have a question on one side and a concise answer on the other. So you see the results here. So here's the questions that are provided. And then on the back, so the front of the cue card would probably be what is HTML. The back would be this answer. And then you can input these into any sort of flashcard tool such as Quizlet or Anki. And then this will help you learn concepts much faster. Then next is using Claude as a business planner. So Claude can help with outlining and structuring different business plans or proposals or campaign plans. And so an example prompt here could be, create a step-by-step business plan for an affiliate marketing business for dog treats. For each section, provide a brief description of what should be included. So you see the results here. It gives me the overall executive summary, the business descriptions of what I should put, and then I can sort of fill in the details accordingly. Or I can even use Claude to fill out these details by just copying and pasting the specific section and then asking it to fill this out. Then you can use Claude for copywriting. Claude is really great for compelling marketing messages or product descriptions. And so an example prompt here could be, write a 200-word product description for a dog toy for boredom. The target audience is new dog owners. Tone should be professional, and some key features to highlight are, and then you can paste in any of the key features that you have. So an example result would be here. As you see, I've given the features that it can take note of, and then it's going to give me a product description that I could use in my e-commerce store or website. And then there's using Claude for data analysis. And so this is super popular for Claude because of its reasoning capabilities. An example prompt here could be, analyze the CSV file for supply chain data, identify significant trends or insights, and suggest possible explanations for these changes. So you see the result here, uploaded this CSV file. Now it's going to go through that file and give me all of the key insights that it's found based off of my request. Now keep in mind, when it comes to data analysis, I always do recommend making sure you're familiar with what kind of data actually exists in the CSV file, because if you ask it something that doesn't actually exist inside the file itself, then it won't be able to provide you the best response. Then there's also the use case of people using Claude to act as a financial advisor of some sort. So an example prompt here could be, suggest strategies for saving 30,000 USD for a 25-year-old with a monthly salary of $5,000. And then you can see the results here. Based off of these criteria, it will then give you some suggestions on what you can do to budget better. Of course, I do suggest any AI tool that you use for financial advice. I don't recommend just listening to it directly, but just use it as a skeleton. Use the advice as sort of a skeleton base of what you could do, and then adjust accordingly. And then there's the use case of Claude being used for recipe creation. So an example prompt here could be, create a recipe that meets these criteria: low carbs, include many vegetables, trying to lose weight, prep time of less than 30 minutes, include ingredients lists and step-by-step instructions. And so here's the results. Here's the recipe for that specific criteria that you input, and it'll give you all of the ingredients and instructions on how to go about building this. Now, nobody has any excuse for why they can't cook something. And then Claude is also a popular tool to use for planning your travels. So an example prompt here could be, plan a 2-week travel itinerary for Malaysia, Kota Kinabalu for parents that are in their 60s. Give recommendations for local cuisine and activities that include cultural sites and relaxing. So you see here the results. Here's a 2-week travel itinerary, and it'll break it down by day. And you can feel free to take this, you can do your further research as well, but it just gives you a general outline so that you can use this to plan out your travels much faster. Another use case for Claude is using it as an interview coach. So if you're preparing for a job or you're preparing for any sort of process that will require an interview, this will be great. So an example prompt here could be, provide 10 common interview questions for a front-end developer position. For each question, suggest an approach to answering it effectively. So you see the results here. Here are all the different questions. You can go and it gives you suggestions on how you can go about approaching answering this question, so that as you get familiar with this, you'll be much more prepared for your interview. Claude is highly popular when it comes to writing code and analyzing code. This is one of the key use cases that put Claude on the map, as its popularity amongst developers was off the chart. So to start off, we'll look at how you can code with Claude, looking at everything from generating to explaining code to even building out mini apps for your specific use case. Now we start off with generating code. And this is where Claude can write clean functional code from natural language descriptions of your prompt. And so an example prompt here could be, please generate HTML, CSS, JavaScript code for a functional sliding carousel image gallery. Feel free to add any additional functions that improve the user experience. So you see the results here. You can click into gives you all of the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as separate windows. And so you can click into each of them to see their HTML. You can even run the code itself, see the preview of what the code will look like, and then look at the code itself. So this kind of workflow is one of the reasons why many people love using Claude for development. Then there is using Claude for explaining code. Claude can break down and explain complex code, making it easier to understand and learn from. So an example prompt here could be, can you explain this Python code to me in plain English? And then you would paste in whatever Python code there is. And keep in mind, this doesn't need to be limited to Python. It's just as an example. And so as a result here, you see there it's breaking down each individual line code. And you can see an explanation for each line and what does function, how you could go about using it, and so on. Then there's the whole aspect of using Claude for reviewing code for potential improvements and optimizing performance. So an example prompt here could be, please review and optimize the following Python code for efficiency and readability. Focus on improving performance and removing unnecessary lines. And then you paste in the code. So you see the results here. I pasted in the code, and then you can also check it out at the right, what the code will look like, then see different changes that it's done, and its explanation of why that change was done. You can also use Claude to convert code seamlessly from one programming language to the next. And so an example prompt here could be something like, please convert the following code from HTML to JSX. Ensure that all functions, logic, and comments are accurately translated while following the best practices of the target language. And then you paste in whatever code you want translated. And so you see the results here. I pasted in this code, and this is the HTML code that I want to be converted into JSX. And then you can see the preview as well as the code itself, and then an explanation of what kind of changes were done. Keep in mind, you do want to ensure that whatever language you're translating from and to, they actually can make sense. If it's too far off of a language, then it'll probably not do a great job in terms of translating it. Now, as you can see, Claude is a great coding partner for you. And so the earlier examples I gave are just using it as a coding partner, but then you can also use Claude to build out full-on websites or web apps for you completely. However, I do recommend to not just copy and paste the code that you are provided, but instead use it as a skeleton base, as a starting point. And then of course, if you do have developer friends, or if you know some programming yourself, make sure to double check the code and ask Claude to double check it as well, because everything that's provided is just served as an outline and you need to fill in the variables. And so we start off with website building using HTML and CSS. And so an example prompt here could be, act as a HTML and CSS expert web developer. Please help me build a complete website for an e-commerce website. The website should include, and then you can include all of the different features that you want specific for that website. And so you see an example here. Okay, so this is all the code for the HTML index, the about page, the contact page, the style CSS. You can even preview. So you see it is general. The CSS hasn't been properly applied, so you probably need to input these yourselves. And some of the images don't work because you need to input the right image file there. But it just gives you a general idea of like how you can get started with building out something quick. You can also leverage Claude for building out mobile apps as well. And so an example prompt here could be, act as a React Native expert mobile developer. Please help me create a mobile app for finding restaurants in the local area. The app should include, and then insert any of your features that you want. And so see the results here, and I can click on all of the different components that's created for JavaScript and then take a look at them. And then it'll even tell you how to use this app, so you can then, it'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to go about implementing this code so that you can actually get a mobile app set up. Then there's also using Claude to develop functional Chrome extensions with JavaScript. And so an example prompt here could be, please help me create a Chrome extension for tracking cheap airline flight tickets. The extension should include, and then insert any of your features that you want. And so you can see the result here. And so it gives you the JSON file, the JavaScript file, the HTML files. And this is really a great way to get started. And much like the other, whether it's a website or the mobile app, it'll give you instructions on how to set this all up yourself. And then finally, you can use Claude for creating automation tools through Python scripts. And so an example prompt here could be, act as a Python expert developer. Please help me create an automation script for scraping data from web pages. This script should include, and then insert any of the key features you want. So you see the results here. I included some of the key features I want, and then it provided me the Python code for this automation tool. And then it'll tell me how I can go about implementing this script.